The clinking of glasses and the low hum of chatter filled the upscale restaurant, but billionaire Ethan Cole barely noticed. His eyes were fixed on his 6-year-old daughter, Lily, who sat across from him twirling her fork in silence. She had her mother's smile, something he hadn't seen since his wife passed 2 years ago. "Daddy," Lily whispered, her voice trembling. Can I have a hug from Mom?" The words shattered him. His throat tightened, and for the first time in years, Ethan didn't know how to answer. He was a man who could buy anything in the world, but not the one thing his daughter truly needed. Before Ethan could respond, a waitress who had overheard walked over. She knelt down beside Lily, her eyes warm and full of compassion. "Sweetheart," she said softly, "I can't be your mom, but can I give you a hug?" Lily's face lit up as she threw her tiny arms around the young woman's neck. Ethan watched, frozen, as his daughter's laughter filled the room, something he hadn't heard in months. It was just a hug, a simple gesture, yet it pierced through Ethan's fortress of wealth and loneliness. For the first time, he wondered if kindness, not money, was the key his daughter needed most. And in that single moment, Ethan's guarded world began to shift. Ethan Cole couldn't shake the image of Lily clinging to the waitress, her tiny arms wrapped tightly around a stranger. Something about it unsettled him, maybe because it wasn't pity he saw in the woman's eyes, but genuine care. After dinner, as they prepared to leave, Lily tugged on his sleeve. "Daddy, can she come home with us? Just for a little while?" Ethan almost laughed at the innocence of the request. But instead of brushing it off, he turned to the waitress, whose name tag read Sophie. "I apologize if this is awkward," Ethan began, his usual boardroom confidence faltering. "But thank you for being so kind to my daughter tonight. It meant more than you know." Sophie smiled politely. "She reminded me of my little sister. I just couldn't ignore her." Ethan hesitated, then surprised himself. "Would you and your sister like to join us for lunch tomorrow?" "On me." Sophie blinked, clearly taken aback. To her, he was just another customer. She had no idea she was speaking to one of the country's wealthiest men. "That's kind, sir, but I don't think." "Please," Ethan interrupted, softer this time. "It would make Lily very happy." Lily's eyes widened with hope, and Sophie felt her resistance melt. Against her better judgment, she nodded. "All right. Lunch." As they left, Ethan noticed something unfamiliar warming his chest. It wasn't just gratitude, it was the faint stirrings of connection. For the first time in years, he looked forward to tomorrow. The next day, Ethan arranged for lunch at a quiet cafe away from the flashing cameras and stiff business meetings. For once, it wasn't about deals or profits, it was about Lily. Sophie arrived with her younger sister, Emma, a shy 12-year-old with second-hand shoes and curious eyes. Lily immediately ran up to her, as though they had known each other forever. Within minutes, the two girls were laughing, drawing doodles on napkins, and sharing cookies. Ethan watched, strangely captivated. Sophie was different from anyone he'd met in years. She didn't try to impress him, didn't hang on his every word, didn't even know who he really was. She was simply herself, warm, genuine, and attentive to the children. "You're good with her," Ethan said quietly as he watched Lily giggle under Sophie's playful tickles. Sophie shrugged. "Kids just need love. It doesn't cost a thing." Her words struck him like a chord he didn't realize was still there. Love. Something he had buried under skyscrapers and luxury cars. As the girls begged for more playtime, Sophie leaned closer. "If you don't mind me asking, Mr. Cole, is Lily's mom?" Ethan's chest tightened. "She passed away 2 years ago." Sophie's eyes softened. "I'm so sorry." "That explains," she trailed off, glancing at Lily's laughter with a tenderness that made Ethan's throat ache. For the first time, Ethan didn't feel like the billionaire CEO. He felt like a father, broken, imperfect, but desperate to give his daughter what she needed most. And strangely, sitting across from a waitress he barely knew, he began to wonder if this was the start of something he couldn't buy, but could only feel. Over the next few weeks, Ethan found excuses to bring Lily back to the cafe. Sometimes it was for pancakes, other times for hot chocolate. But truthfully, it wasn't the food that drew him back, it was Sophie. She had a way of softening the room. No pretenses, no expectations. Just kindness. Lily flourished under her attention, laughing more, sleeping better, even drawing pictures of Daddy, me, and Miss Sophie. One rainy afternoon, as thunder rolled outside, Lily curled into Sophie's side, whispering, "I wish you were my mommy." The words hit Ethan like a blow to the chest. His heart twisted with guilt. He had everything, mansions, jets, power, but his daughter longed for something money could never replace. Sophie froze, clearly unsure how to respond. She stroked Lily's hair gently. "Sweetheart, your mommy is always with you, right here," she said, placing a hand over Lily's heart. "And no one can ever take that away." Lily nodded sleepily, comforted by the warmth in Sophie's voice. Ethan watched in silence, his throat tight. For years, he had built walls around himself, walls made of grief and pride. But Sophie, with nothing more than compassion, had slipped through the cracks. Later, as he walked them to their car, Ethan finally spoke. "Sophie. I don't usually let people into my life. But you've done something no one else has managed. You've brought back Lily's smile." Sophie looked up at him, surprised by the vulnerability in his voice. "Sometimes, all a child needs is someone willing to care," she replied softly. For the first time in years, Ethan wasn't afraid of what came next. He was afraid of what might slip away if he didn't hold on to it. A month later, Ethan hosted a charity gala in his towering glass hotel. The room sparkled with diamonds and designer gowns, but his mind wasn't on business or prestige. It was on Sophie, who had reluctantly agreed to attend after much coaxing from Lily. Sophie looked out of place in her simple dress, yet to Ethan, she shone brighter than anyone in the room. While guests boasted about fortunes and deals, Sophie knelt beside Lily, listening intently as the little girl chattered about her drawings. It struck Ethan then, this was the world he wanted for his daughter. Not one of boardrooms and hollow smiles, but of laughter, warmth, and love. During the evening, one of Ethan's associates smirked. "You're really wasting time on a waitress, Cole. You could have anyone." Ethan's jaw tightened. He glanced at Sophie, who was too busy helping Lily with a cupcake to notice the comment. For the first time in years, his decision was crystal clear. Later, as the music swelled, Ethan took the microphone. "Tonight isn't just about wealth," he began, his voice steady but full of emotion. "It's about remembering that the greatest riches are not what we own, but the people who touch our lives." His eyes found Sophie in the crowd. Sometimes, a simple act of kindness can change everything. When the applause faded, Ethan walked straight to Sophie. In front of everyone, he whispered, "You gave Lily back her smile, and you gave me back my heart. Don't walk away from us." Sophie's eyes brimmed with tears. She glanced at Lily, who beamed with hope, and nodded softly. In that moment, Ethan realized he hadn't just gained back his daughter's laughter, he had found a family again.